In this video, we will learn about box and whisker charts. So a box and whisker chart shows the distribution of a quantitative variable values. Box and whisker charts look very different from histograms, which are also used to show the distribution of a quantitative variable. So how are box and whisker charts different? Well, if I was to describe the distribution of a quantitative variable using numbers, I could describe the distribution using the mean, the median, the first, second, third quartile, the standard deviation, the min and the max values. So if I show all these numerical quantities visually, I have a visualization of the distribution. So a box and whisker chart shows these values visually. So for example, the box represents the range of values from the first quartile to the third quartile. So that's also called the middle half of the values. And the whiskers, so there's two whiskers, one below the box, which shows values up to the first quartile, and a whisker above the box that shows the values above the third quartile. And then the mean and the median values are shown visually with an X and a line, respectively, within the box. And the outliers are also shown as extreme points on the whiskers. And the standard deviation is also taken into account on the whiskers. So let's look at an example. Suppose I have this data. I have two quantitative variables. I will first do a box and whisker chart for the population on this slide, and on the next slide I will show a box and whisker chart for per capita GDP column. We don't really need this column to show a box and whisker chart because that's only for a quantitative variable. So if I was to describe the distribution of population using just numbers, I can say, okay, the mean of these values is 38,933, the median is this, standard deviation first, third quartile, min value, max value. But if I want to show all these numbers visually, I get this. So this is the box and whisker chart. So that's the box. And this is a whisker above the box and a whisker below the box. So the box starts at the first quartile value. So you see the first quartile is 23,311. You can tell this is around 23. And that's the third quartile, 50,339. So this is roughly 50,339. Second quartile is the same as median. So the median is 32,510. You can tell this is roughly at 32,510. That's the mean with an X. So the mean is 38,933, which is close to 39, which is close to 40. So see, this is very close to 40. That's the max value. Look at the max value, 96,462. This is close to 100, so 96,462. It is shown as an outlier because it is past the end of the whisker. So anything outside of the end of a whisker is an outlier. Right now, I have only one outlier. There could be more than one, as we will see on the next slide. Now, this is showing the min value of 16,296. So this is 16,296. There's no outlier here because this end of this whisker is at 2.5 sigma from the mean. So this is not exactly at 2.5 sigma, but the last value below 2.5 sigma, mean plus 2.5 sigma. Okay, so that's what that is. So it wants to go 2.5 sigma below, but then the last value ends much before that. So it just shows you the minimum value. Okay, so that's how a box and whisker chart looks like. So it's only this part, the box and the whiskers, and these are just labels to show the values. Here, the x-axis means nothing. There is no significance to this x-axis. All right, same data. This time we will do a box and whisker chart for per capita GDP column. So I have the mean, median, standard deviation, etc. for this column. So this is how the box and whisker chart looks like for this data. So there's a box, there's a whisker, first quartile, third quartile, second quartile or median, and the mean. Now, in this case, the end of the whisker is not at 2.5 sigma, it is at 1 sigma. And the reason for that is that the minimum value is not even 1 sigma away. So Excel decides the length of the whisker by looking at the standard deviation on both the sides of the mean. So in this case, it didn't make sense to have 2.5 sigma above the mean on top when the minimum value here is less than a sigma away from the mean. So there's no standard rule about where this line appears. It could appear at 1 sigma, 1.5 sigma, 2 sigma, 2.5 sigma. It depends on the data. So the minimum value is within mean minus sigma. So you just show the min value there. It's 399. So it's very close to 0. And that's the highest value within mean plus sigma. And finally, that's the max value. It is shown as an outlier, and all of these are outliers as far as this data is concerned. So that's how box and whisker charts look like. So let's look at how to draw these in Excel. So that's my data, per capita GDP and population. I will first do the box and whisker chart for population. It's very easy. You just select the data, go on insert. I don't see anything for box and whisker chart here, so I can click on recommended charts, all charts, box and whisker. There. That's the box and whisker chart for population. Need this. And we can elongate it to see the values more clearly. Similarly, we can select the data for per capita GDP, insert recommended charts. Let's see, there's no recommendation for box and whisker. No problem. Go to all charts, box and whisker. And there's a box and whisker chart for per capita GDP. You can elongate it to see the values more clearly. Here you go. So that's the end of this tutorial.